My name is Melina Duggal. I work with a firm called Robert Charles Lessler and Company, and I've worked with them since 1998. I just came from a session about Gen Y and its impact on real estate. There were some other speakers who talked about the baby boomers, which we know there are a lot of, and overall demographic trends. And I specifically talked about the impact of Gen Y and also on Gen X, even though there aren't as many of them. And the main focus of the presentation was, have things changed? Is Gen Y going to act any differently than previous generations given their life stage? So if we think about a Gen Y person when they're 20, are they going to act differently than a Gen X person that was 20 or somebody that was a baby boomer in 20? And based upon the data that we have, it's likely as they move through their different life stages that they'll act similarly to previous generations. There may be somewhat of a trend for them to move towards more urban areas. Some of the research that we looked at was a 2004 survey from the National Association of Home Builders. They followed up with a survey in 2011. RCLCO did a survey in 2007, and the ULI just finished one in 2010. So we have a number of years of data to be able to see how did Gen Y answer before and after the recession, and how does that compare to Gen X. And the one thing that we did see a little bit of change in is the preference for maybe urban versus rural versus suburban. So right now, the answers were in 2007 and 2011, about a third would prefer suburban, a third would prefer urban, and a third would prefer a rural area. And again, it has to deal with where they are in their life stage. So right now, they are between 10 and 20 years old. And most of them are, 10 and 30 years old, so most of them are kind of renting right now or owning their first homes. We're going to see a large wave of rental for the next few years. So when we think about what are the impacts on developers and development in the next 10 to 15 years, clearly they're going to have a very big impact on the rental market. Fully 60% of them in urban areas suggested that they live in some type of an attached product and will likely be renting for a number of years. And then when they hit their ages where they start buying, and they're likely to do that as well. A large percentage of them, I think 80% of them, said that they would prefer a single-family detached home and start moving out more towards the suburbs as well. So I guess in conclusion, the recession didn't seem to have a lasting impact on their preferences. What they said before and after the recession was very similar. And the answers that they gave were very similar to Gen X and what we've seen from people in the past.